right, another week, which means another lesson in Doodling with Purpose, your guide to learning Egyptian hieroglyphs, and we're getting along. We've learned all the major single consonant, double consonant, triple consonant, determinatives, well, not all the determinatives, but a lot of them, and now it's time to start building our ancient Egyptian hieroglyph vocabulary, so that way we can get into verbs. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to look at new words, but we're also going to look at words that reinforce the rules of the language to help. So let's look at our first word. All right, so here we have a word, and you recognize the first three glyphs, the hill, the crucible, and the vulture. But that last glyph, it may be unknown to you. Well, if a glyph comes at the very end of a word, and especially if it's something you haven't seen before, well, there's a very good chance it's a determinative. In this case, it's a brazier, a flame or heat symbol. So anytime you see that, it's going to be a flame or heat type of word, like roast. All right, so translating it, we have our T, our Ta for the crucible, and the Ah for the vulture, which would make this word ta-ah. But as you know, if you have a double consonant next to a single consonant, that's the same letter, well, then we're going to eliminate the double letter. It's just there to help jog your memory, and it's one of the things that actually makes reading hieroglyphs easier. So eliminating the double letters, eliminating the extra T and the extra A, you now have the word ta. The extra letters are just there in case you have to expand the word for your writing surface. And ta is the word hot. That's why you have the determinative for flame or heat. So anytime you have that determinative at the end, you know that the word is going to be in that category. So again, one of the awesome clues that's built into the language. All right, next up, let's start with a determinative this time. This is the determinative for road. It represents the drawing of a road with bushes, if you will, on the sides of the road. Think of it that way. That's what those triangles are. They're papyrus. And this determinative can also be pronounced wat, W-A-T, or lot, having it in the back of the throat. Getting to learn the way Egyptians pronounce the A is a little tricky, but that's a whole other lesson for another time. We'll go through throat movements and how to do that. Now, let's now write out the word wat. We're going to write it with the lasso, the vulture, and the hill, wa'at. So this is if you were going to write it phonetically and write out all of the letters instead of just putting a symbol of a road. So again, you have wa for the rope, ah for the vulture, and t for the hill, wa'at. But again, with a double consonant and a single consonant with the same sound next to each other, what do? Well, we cross off the letter that is double. So now it's just wat, wat meaning road. So this can be the word road, and you can also take the determinative for road, which is pronounced wat, but if it's at the end of a word, it becomes the determinative, as opposed to if it just appears by itself. So moving that determinative to the bottom and the end of our word, we now have wa'at with the determinative for road at the end. And so it reminds you, it jogs your memory that you are reading the word road. Again, Egyptian is full of clues like this to help you learn the language. It's almost like they knew what they were doing. All right, let's look at another example here. So here we have the bull, the pool, the hill, the two diagonal strokes, the running legs, and the man. So you may look immediately and say, well, that's interesting. The running legs and the man are both determinatives. Yes, this is a double determinative word. So the bull, whip, the P, the hill, T, and the double strokes Y, P being the mat, if I hadn't mentioned that, which we'll remember from our early lessons. So this is going to be the word whoop-put-T if you were going to pronounce every letter. But again, what did we say? When there's a single consonant and a double consonant next to each other that repeat the same sound, we're going to cross off the extra letter. It's just there to jog your memory and help you read the language. Gosh, I love all the clues that the Egyptians baked into it. So this is whoop-T, messenger. And you have two determinatives because you have the determinative for movement and the determinative for person. So it's a person that moves. a messenger. See how the determinatives work? They really help you understand the vocabulary and the word you're using once you know what type of word the determinative means. See, the more you know, the easier this is going to get. It's honestly, once you're over the hump of learning to write the glyphs, it's really just about learning the structure of the language and continuing our journey across Egypt and into ancient Egypt as we get closer and closer to learning verb structure, which is the last major hurdle to learning the language. And we'll get to that, but we want to go through a little bit more vocabulary first before we tackle verbs. Verbs being the key to learning any language, ancient, modern, or one of those future languages we haven't invented yet. Hope you enjoyed your continuing Doodle with Purpose. Please give it a like and a subscription just because that tells YouTube to share it with more people, and we love sharing knowledge. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for more Doodling with Purpose.